I'll use once again 1325. We come out to say work in Fort McMurray and we compare them. It says nothing in the GPMA, for example, regarding travel. We don't get paid flights, so we pay out of our own pocket to drive up to work and drive back. And according to the GPMA, it says that we will get an initial pay when we drive out there. It's like X amount of dollars for gas, and then your last pay is upon layoff. Then you will receive a payout for fuel. But according to the collective agreement that the carpenters have, we're supposed to get travel and we're supposed to get these other accommodations but that we don't get.
The collective agreement that you get for construction is bargained for construction. And when you read the labor code, what it does is it defines construction. Specifically, maintenance is not in construction. So your collective agreement for construction is over here. Maintenance, there are two separate collective agreements, the GPMA, which is for long-term maintenance, and the National Maintenance Agreement, which is for intermittent maintenance. The theory around the maintenance agreements is you're there for the turnaround and short periods of employment. If you're going to be there forever, their theory is that they want you to be a local person, so they want you to live in the area.
Essentially, it also cuts on costs for them. As
Quite a
an
bit.
employer, like
The client.
the client, thank you.
Sure, it saves lots of money. You know, when you think about it, if there are 1,000 guys going home every weekend and getting paid to travel, that turns into a lot of money. So the employers, to some degree, the employers are at the mercy of the owners because the owner is going to want to try and ensure that they're paying as little as possible to get your skills. So that means travel. Yeah, we'll pay you in, we'll pay you out. We're not going to give you camp. We're not going to give you flights. You want to be here, here's the job.
So going off of that topic there, I think it's under Bill 32. It talks about your break times and being paid or unpaid for said break times. You'll be on site for 12 and a half hours before you even leave site, but you're paid for 12. But it was stating that it is at your employer's discretion to pay you or not to pay you for your breaks. And a lot of guys get really, really chapped about that because in their minds, they're there for 12 hours, so they're there for 12 and a half. Why are they not getting paid for the time they're on site?
Well, if you look at your construction agreement provides 5/8 or 4/10, and your lunch break is unpaid. The coffee breaks are paid. In some cases, you get paid all your breaks, so you're portal to portal 10 hours. In others, you get one paid break and one unpaid break. That's a matter of negotiation. It hasn't been always satisfactory, but we're doing better than we've done. And unions have gained by a process of incrementalism.
Meaning,
when I was a kid, we worked 5 8-hour days and 4 hours on Saturday. 44 hours was a regular work week. Slowly but surely, we whittled away at that to get to 40 hours. We whittled away at it to get 4/10s, with the Friday being an overtime day. Incrementalism, eventually we will bargain away to make some of the breaks and stuff work better. It's cold comfort for me to say to some guy who says, like, I'm really chirped about this. But the truth is, eventually we'll win on that. It's just going to take time. Construction bargaining is a trade by trade bargaining process. When we initially started with registration, which was in 1971, all of the people who worked for a plumbing contractor were plumbers. There weren't a lot of multi-craft employers. The bargaining unit was all plumbers, and plumbers bargained with, that time it was the Mechanical Contractors Association. It eventually became CLR. As things progressed, everybody had a unit, a registration unit, where they bargained with their employers. We ended up with a series of what were called sequential strikes. The plumbers went on strike, so sooner or later, somebody said, hey, the scaffolders don't have to build any more scaffold because there's no plumbers to put on it. So we had a pattern of bargaining which led through a series of sequential strikes that usually ended up with the last person to go on strike getting the most. Only by a little bit, we didn't do a very good job at bargaining and concluding bargaining. In 1988, the amendments to the labor code said, we're going to get rid of sequential strikes. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to put everybody into a group of trades, and that group of trades, which may be interdependent with the other, you all have to go on strike on the same day, and you all have to take a strike vote, and the strike vote has to carry with what's called a double majority. It needs 60% of the people who vote and 60% of the trades. You could argue it's a triple majority, but who cares? What has ended up happening with that is it is more difficult to get all of those bargaining trades one place in time. The theory for grouping the trades together has been you put, we'll call them the civil trades together. You put the decorating trades together, painting, decorating, insulating, all of that, interior systems, all of that stuff. You put the mechanical trades all together, and you put the trades that span everything, the crane guys, they do everything, the operating engineers in some cases. Does that reduce the bargaining power of the individual trade? Yes, but it also increases the leverage that the groups have. If they are going to go on strike, everybody in that area goes on strike at the same time. So there should be no sequential strikes in Alberta. Is that legislation brilliant, and is it really effective? I think it's dampened down wages, it's dampened down conditions, and it's made it harder to fix things like the how long are we on site and what are we getting paid for. So our agreements are very similar now for all of the trades. Bargaining has done that. That is a plus for us. But do we get as much as we could get if we were individual trades? No, because a bunch of the leverage is gone.
If I can piggyback off what you're saying real quick, you're talking about bargaining and being an individual trade. When you take CLAC or even 1999 or CMA and you put them into the equation, because those are wall-to-wall unions or unions. To a lot of people when I see it online, they think there was a time and place where the union served a purpose. And then some people just don't think it's there, it matters, whatever it may be. Some people have their opinions or difference of agreement on it, whatever it is. But when we're talking about better wages, better pensions, benefits, and the list goes on and on, working agreements or conditions, how does it benefit us when we're talking about just solely iron workers or carpenters, plumbers, pipe fitters, so on and so forth, versus wall to wall? And this is where I am misunderstanding. If there's a power in numbers, wouldn't they have more leverage than what we would have as individual unions?
Actually, I think they have less leverage. What we're doing is, if we're bargaining with the ironworker, if the ironworkers are bargaining, they're bargaining with ironworker employers, with the people that actually employ them. If you looked at the wall-to-wall unions, they're not really wall-to-wall. They may employ 1, 2, 3, 4 trades, 5 trades. All they've done by being a wall-to-wall union is insulated themselves against being certified by any building trades union. That's the purpose of the wall-to-wall. It's to create a shield around being organized. So where do you get your bargaining strength? The best bargaining strength for a building trades union is the building trades union bargaining with their employers and having a right to go on strike. For the Christians or anybody else that does wall-to-wall, they don't really bargain anyway. They take they take whatever's offered. They don't push the envelope. Has anyone heard of CMA or the Christians or some of those other groups, the Western Canada concept of unions or whatever? Another one, the one that spun off from CLAC. Have they ever taken a strike vote? The answer is no. Like, our bargaining strength comes from the ability to withhold our services. And somewhere from best position for leverage is trade by trade. Second best position is within a group of trades, because everybody that does the same work or in the same area at the same time would go off at the same time. That's second best. Third best is trying somehow to wall